We hear a lot of perspectives on the Mankind podcast. Inclusion of a guest is not an endorsement of their views, and the opinions expressed here do not always represent the mission or values of the Mankind Project USA.
Just a quick heads up, this episode has some minor, crass language. And so if you're listening with little ones in the background, keep that in mind. Today, and welcome to another episode of the
Mankind Podcast, the show where we set out to break the molds of modern manhood.
To prove there is more than one way to be a man. We are simplifying manhood and masculinity in a very complicated world and time, aren't we, Boysen?
We are complicating old tropes, stereotypes, and socially constructed myths about masculinity to make it more comfortable to be you.
More comfortable to be you because you hold the pen and you determine what it means for you to be a man. I can't tell you that. Boysen can't tell you that. No one can tell you that. That's for you to determine for you. And we're here to check in. We've had some big things happen in the past couple weeks and months between us. Vacations, summits, trips, new warrior trainings. So chance to check in and get aligned and get connected because we have a very exciting roster of interviews coming up in the coming weeks. So Boysen, check in, man. What's happening?
Boysen, checking in this morning. I have joy in my belly and in my chest just doing that little intro thing, which always makes me chuckle and connects me to why I'm here. Like being in that conversation, being in this conversation, being in this complexity and simplicity, being in all of this stuff. I love this. I love that. I love being in this conversation. So I have happiness. I have fear. Holy mackerel, the lists of things to do. And we'll I'm sure Brandon's going to hit on the mess that he's been making in his own world as he checked in this morning. So yeah, I'm checking in with gratitude, joy, and fear.
Thank you. I am Brandon Clift checking in. I am known in many circles as King Chimp. And just checking in with a lot of joy. There's fear, there's frustration there. The joy just came off a new warrior training this past weekend. It's number 15 for me, which was cool because I've wondered as becoming a dad and making moves professionally. MKP's always played a solid role in my life, but other things have been elevated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing 5 new warrior trainings a year like I used to try and do, and I got 2 MKP credits from my wife. That's like my 2 new warrior trainings or other trainings. And we spoke about that because they're big commitments. And so I've got gratitude for my wife taking control of our 2-year-old daughter for 4 days. It's a 4-day commitment to go and staff these things, which is and I kicked my cord again. So if you lost audio, there I am. I'm back. It's a huge commitment for her to do that. And so I'm feeling just a lot of gratitude there, but also the tension that comes from, coming back from an elevated experience, coming back from a transformative experience. We had 21 men go through our training, 3 of which came from Chattanooga from my I group. And recognizing that I came back in an altered state. And my wife was full-blown exhausted from taking care of her toddler.
Yeah.
And coming back into that home environment, I'm just there feel like my third eye is busting out of my forehead, and I feel like aligned head, heart, gut, floating into the room. And I just have this vision of kid bouncing on the hip, hair up in curlers in the hair with a cigarette, right? Where have you been? So continuing to learn how to best reintegrate after transformational experiences into our home.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Thank you.
remember
And that's
that.
so cool. That's wild. So I did not staff our last New Warrior training adventure here in New England, but I was what we call MOS. I was a man of service, which meant I spent the whole weekend in the kitchen from Friday at 5, Friday early, Saturday early, Sunday early till late in the day, preparing food for 70. I think there were 70 guys on site, 60 something
Wow.
guys on site,
Wow.
um, for our staff and all the participants on the weekend. So I got to see it. I got to not be in the container, but on the edge of the container. But then, similar to you, we had 3 guys from our open men's group go through the weekend. So this week, Wednesday night, we always do a kind of welcome home in our group and give those guys space to just share and talk about what they experience. So yeah, very connected through that. Very connected through that. Holy crap, we've been doing this thing for 40 years and it still works, right? It's
40
changed,
years.
but the eye opening, the heart opening, one of the guys talked about going to work on Monday, and he was feeling all in himself and feeling like taller and open and all of this stuff. And so nobody in his workplace knew what he had been doing, but just walking down the hall, and it's like, hey man, what's going on with you?
Yeah.
Something's different. Something's different about
you. Did you get a
you.
haircut? Yeah.
Right. It's like,
yeah.
So those kinds of impacts that happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love the testimonials where people will share, like, man, the dog treats me different. The cat wants to entertain me now. Like, just, yeah, the energy shift is such a big one. That which can't be explained intellectually is,
Right.
I love hearing those testimonials and hearing from those experiences. And yeah, and we have, 3 men ourselves go through here in Chattanooga, and that puts us at like 20 guys that have been through the training now. And our community evolves every time it happens. Like, we level up every time it happens, because the trust that comes from, bearing my soul to men, letting them see the scary, dark, icky bits of my story, my life, my narratives, my choices in life, and to know that they're not going anywhere. Like that. Like, I got you, bro. I got you, man. It just builds and weaves more into the fabric and the textile that is our community as it builds and grows. So yeah, lots of feels. I'd love to do MOS one day, which on our weekends we call Men of Service, as Boysen shared. And you are there to feed and nourish the souls of the men there who are there to do the work. And I've never heard nothing but incredible things about the container that's built, the connection that's made. So yeah, very cool, man. Very cool.
It's fun, and a lot of dishes and sore lower back from standing and unforeseen issues. But that's part of the thing too.
Yeah, but guitar jams. The MOS team usually bring like an allotment of instruments, and I can usually hear them jamming out the back.
Nice.
Bit of bluegrass.
We did not have any musicians. We had chefs. We had chefs in ours, so
lucky
we're
you.
very
Dang.
lucky in New England to have that kind of stuff happen.
Nice.
So I had a thing that I wanted to, and it connects to what you were saying about coming home and the experience of coming home, because when I went to our homecoming is like, a week after the training, we invite men and their families and staff and other members of the community to all gather together and, do a potluck and kind of talk about and share some testimonial. And it's just a way of like integrating folks into the community. And I took the opportunity to stand up and speak at the homecoming. And what came up for me is this idea of like speaking to our partners, speaking to our family, speaking to our friends, people that witness this shift that happens in the men when they go away and when they come home. I'm like, what's in it for you? What's in it for you that this thing just happened? And the idea that all of us, everybody in the room, not just the guys who went away, right? All of us are carrying burdens. All of us are carrying stuff, old stuff, new stuff, deep stuff that we've hidden. All of us are carrying these burdens, and that this opportunity for men who go away to, a thing like the New Warrior Training Adventure is they get to unburden themselves. They get to crack open some of those places that have been closed off in their lives. And that leads to shifts, that leads to energetic shifts, that leads to shifts in thinking, that leads to shifts in beliefs, that leads to shifts in opportunities and possibilities and all of those things. And you know what? For all of those partners out there, that's good news, bad news.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really good news that your partner is most likely going to be way more present, way more open, way more experimental, way more maybe willing to share some of that stuff that he's been unburdened of. And bad news is that immediately creates an invitation for you to do the same.
Good news disguised as bad news.
Good news disguised as bad news, right? But it could feel like bad news for a little bit. Could feel tough for a while. That you're going to be invited into that same discourse. You're going to be invited into that same place of, what beliefs are holding you back? Where have you been stuck?
Well, it's a very common experience, I think, historically, that, as men, something we're learning way late in the game is the power of connection, the power of sharing, the power of opening up and being vulnerable, something that the women in our lives have been doing very well for generations. And so the inverse of what you're saying has been generally the case, that it feels like my wife is growing out of this relationship or growing up or away from me. And I feel like I'm getting left behind. And that same experience is shared by many partners who are at home. That you come back from this transformational experience and they're thinking all sorts of things, but more often than not, it's, do you still love me?
Yeah, right.
Are we good here? Because I always liken it to this. You go to a transformational experience, it's like you're given a wooden sword. You're not quite ready to wield the katana that can cut paper effortlessly, right? Or cut through the bamboo stalks. You're given this wooden sword to practice. And like any kid that's given a wooden sword, they're super excited, but they're bound to smack someone around them and they're bound to smack themselves. And so man comes back from a weekend finally like feeling like they have their power back in their voice, and they come home and guess what? The external world isn't necessarily ready for you. And it's not that they have to be, it's just they've known you for X amount of years or decades or however long you've been on the scene in these relationships. There's that integration takes time, it takes practice. And so it's a lot to carry for your partners. It's because they often aren't prepared for what's to come. When you come home, like feeling like you finally have your balls between your legs and you just want to like just plow through everything because you have this confidence and this awareness. And 15 new warrior trainings for me. And I'm still learning how to come home and reintegrate and be as interested in what my wife's been up to as the incredible, crazy experience that I just went through.
And I think that's part of the maturing, right? When I came, this is 2004. This is a very long time ago, 21 years ago, that I came back from the New Warrior Training Adventure on fire and all lit up and immediately just absolutely stuck my foot in it in my brand new relationship with Kendra, like 6 months into our relationship. And I come home from this transformational thing and immediately like, said and responded and showed up in a way that she was just like, excuse me?
Yeah.
What the hell is happening here? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And that settling into a new way of being and remodulating definitely took me some time.
Mm-hmm.
And now 21 years later, it's like, it's great. It's great because the expectation is this is my practice. This is like my yoga practice, right? This is something that I go away. It doesn't mean that I'm fixed. Doesn't mean that I don't have hangups. Doesn't mean that I don't have stuff that I'm continuing to work on, but we bring the space to each other for those things to be true, right? I'm much more flexible in letting her show up in messy ways, and she's way more flexible in letting me show up in messy ways and still supporting one another.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Thank you. Something, so I got some leadership takeaways that came from the weekend. This is my 8th New Warrior training as a LIT, as a leader in training. And at the end, we get feedback from leaders. And I got some really, really cool feedback. But the ones that are like sticking with me the most were, number one, anyone who knows me knows that I'm gregarious, I'm charismatic. I like to stand in the center, give me the mic, shine bright. And so my challenge now going forward is in my circles that I lead and on weekends is to not buddy with all the other staff and people I know, not carry on and like I usually would in building those connections. It's actually to be quiet and sit back and watch and not say anything unless it's my process or unless it absolutely has to be said. And it's so interesting when I get certain feedback like that, I geek out. It's like I start to see it it's like when you buy the car and you see it everywhere on the road.
Yes, right.
I geek out and see it in all these different areas. And it's like, whoa, that's going to be a real challenge for me. But I'm also aware that I have my natural style. I have my natural strengths. My connection, energy, and passion have opened all the doors in my life to all the amazing things that I have. I'm not going to depart from it. It's about elevating this other part of leadership that isn't that strong. So it's a tool in the tool belt that I can use in the future. But right now, like if you've ever used a hand chisel, it's really messy learning how to use those things to go with the grain and create, clear edges without, making a disaster. And so, yeah, that was really cool feedback for me.
I've heard said, and it would take me a minute to figure out where I picked this up, but some of those things, some of those gifts that have helped you achieve and get to the place that you're at today may not be the ones that you need to get to the place that you're destined to go.
Bingo.
And at some point, those things that I have leaned on my whole life as my go-to ways of being in the world actually become a crutch and an impediment to me stretching into the next level of growth for me. So what's your next level of growth, knowing that you're bright, shiny boy in the sun and the spotlight may be holding you back?
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Well put. That's just another way to put it that I'm kind of chewing on right now. But yeah, the next step for me is really just kind of a less is more approach in my leadership to lean on brevity. How can I not only communicate the message so that everyone's clear, but have the same impact with less words, with less spotlight? And who are the people that I can empower to go out in the center and do the thing and galvanize and get people excited? So it's not me being the one doing it. It's me sending them out. Yeah, therein lies a cool challenge for me, which also aligns with my New Year's resolution, which was presence. So it's funny how these things come into play. And on Circle Tuesday night, I was on point, and certain things just happened almost perfectly that aligned with the feedback I got from Mike Patterson and Carlos Legaspi and Michael Bilkis. And I just looked up at the sky and I was like, nice one, universe. Nice one. It's just all lining up. What's up, everyone? Brandon here. And I want to tell you, you, the busy professional, the dad juggling multiple tasks and duties, about something that has transformed my mornings. And that is Magic Mind. Now imagine having energy all day for work, dad duties, and perhaps even some to spare in the evenings. Well, a couple weeks ago, I was hitting that afternoon crash hard. The 2 p.m. blues were the soundtrack to my life, and then I got a hold of Magic Mind. Now, this isn't just any supplement. It's been developed over 10 years by doctors and researchers with over 200 studies backing its ingredients. This tiny little powerhouse of a shot uses premium nootropics and adaptogens, and thanks to its advanced encapsulation technology, it absorbs 5 to 10 times faster than a pill. Now, since my wife and I have added Magic Mind to our routine, we're more focused, calm, and our energy sustains all day without the caffeine crash. It's safe, scientifically validated, and it helps me and my wife stay sharp and stress-free. So if you're ready to upgrade your day, head to magicmind.com and use the code MANKINDMAY. That's mankind, M-A-Y, at checkout for 20% off your first order of Magic Mind. You are not going to regret it. This stuff is absolutely incredible. And of course, when you support our sponsors, you support our show. So head to the links in the show notes to get 20% off your first order. But the other piece of feedback I want to speak to, which was really cool for me, was I was first up on the carpet. We do carpet work, and not to give away too much of what we do.
What's carpet work?
It's basically
tell me more.
It's where we go deep, and so a black man walked out, and I went up with my general attitude is I'm going to treat everyone the same to give everyone the same experience or the same chance at bat. And so this is interesting. Roll with me here, because obviously blind spots are being revealed just in me saying that. Mm-hmm. And so I'm working with this man, going through the process, going through the questions, and then absent father begins to come up. And so if you can imagine kind of a pole here, like polarity, in one camp, I'm going, all people the same, process all the same. I hear absent father and I swing all the way to the other pole of like cultural awareness, my DEI work, my unpacking power and privilege work. And I just start like fumbling. My brain just disappears and I end up in this place of fear. And so I look over to Mike Patterson, who's been on the show a lot, one of my best mates. And I look at him and I'm like, I give him the eyes of like, get over here. And so he came over and we did a cool process. And so in the feedback, which was really cool, that Patterson shared was that I didn't fake it. I acknowledged the blind spot and treating everyone the same. And then I also recognized the blind spot in
you went too far. Black
man, absent father, going down that narrative, which is very assumptive, right?
Yeah.
And so it's being able to walk in between, being able to hold the perspectives of both in that in between. And so his feedback to me was, you stopped, you asked for help, and you recognize that there is a gap I recognize there's a gap in my leadership and my awareness. And he said, more white dudes in leadership need to be willing to say, I don't have it. I don't got it. Because if I just ran that process like I intended or planned, who knows? It could have been great, right? Yeah. But the learning opportunity in that was brilliant for me. And as far as I'm aware, that man was none the wiser, like, because he was in the process and it happened and he got the piece or a piece. And so that was cool for me. And that opens another area of development and leadership for me that, continues to be a scary one for me. Because at its core, the story is, I'm not going to look like I have my shit together.
Yeah, right.
I'm not going to look like I've done my work around this. Looks, appearances, perceptions, the ownership that there's more work to do.
And I think, again, there's an elevated leadership characteristic in there, which is, do you really trust? Do I trust people? I statement this. Do I trust people who show up like acting as if they know everything all the time?
Yeah.
And they have like, no, I don't. Like, at a certain level of leadership, the leaders that I trust are the ones who show up and say, wow, this is tough. This is really complex. I'm not really sure what to do next. What do you think we should do next?
Yes.
There's a level of trust building in that I think, and owning my own like overstretch in terms of white guy stuff, entitled to trust. Like
Bingo.
I'm not entitled to a dude's trust,
No.
because I know some things and I've been around. It's like my own vulnerability as a leader is what's going to build that trust.
Yeah. And therein lies the piece about being big and bold and beautiful and shining in center stage. Is what Carlos said was, I want to see your cracks. I want to see you fail. I will trust you. I can follow the fancy bright light that's, leading the way with excitement and entertainment value and a lot of F yeah energy. But it's like, what's preventing me from trusting you fully is not seeing the cracks, not seeing that I don't know, not watching you almost intentionally F up and make a mistake and lean in on that. And that helped me recognize that, I've been holding off from doing a lot of my work, my deeper work, and being seen doing it because I don't want you to see that. I don't want you to see the cracks. I want you to see the polished image that's a mask at the end of the day.
Nice. And my mentor, Will Flanders, a mentor that I've had, Will stood in front of us and led our wedding ceremony. He was our officiant for our wedding ceremony.
Awesome.
And something that he taught in leading men's group and as a counselor when Kendra and I were getting ready to get married, he said, I'll marry you guys, but you have to sit down with me for multiple sessions of counseling before I will marry you. And one of the things that he put forward is the truth's always in the relationship. So like as slick as you think you are, as slick as I think I am in these, like the people who love me and know where my blind spots are. Mm-hmm. They know where those gaps are, and it's present. It's there in the room, and not acknowledging it is dangerous for doing the work.
Say the thing. That's the thing.
Say the thing. That's the thing.
Yes.
Right. It's the TikTok meme. It's say the weird thing.
Oh, look at you. Look at you being all aware of the zeitgeist.
I have a teenager and a 21-year-old. Come on, man.
That's Riz, man. That's Riz.
No, we're not.
That's skizzy. I just made that up. I don't know what skizzy means, but
I think it would be bad if I had to put a name on that. So what else have we got that we need to check in on?
So civic duty. Civic duty. Why are we talking about
what the hell do you mean by that?
Duty. So this seed was planted initially, our men's groups being the men's groups that they are. After the election, we're like, let's do a circle and share who we voted for. and like what informs our lens and our views, and very diverse room, which was great. Wow. And of course, we told the men well in advance, hey, this is optional. And so men it wasn't a trap. Men could choose how to spend their Tuesday evenings differently if they so choose. And 10 men showed up, and we got to share who we voted for. Those of us who didn't, the Libertarians, the Democrats, the Republicans, and it was really powerful. I mean, I judge we came out with a lot of connection because we got to really look at the lens in which we view our decisions and our choices. And but a big piece at the end was, man, if I really because Kenny Andrzejewski, a friend of mine who was on the show recently, how to stay human in hard conversations. I nearly said how to stay hard in human conversations.
That would be a different show.
That would be a different show. Yes. God, we're so mature. I statement. Right. I'm so mature. But he did a story on Instagram that really spoke to me, which was when he was walking away from the voting booths. He said, I just voted for whom I want to win the election, and I have done 5% of my civic duty in voting.
Okay.
And I was like, ooh, interesting. And so part of our conversation in circle was like, okay, I may not feel like I can impact change nationally, But what if I could in my city?
Mm-hmm.
What if I could in my community, in my neighborhood?
Mm-hmm.
And that seed's kind of stuck in me and is germinating, and was really cool to acknowledge that last year's men's mental health event was a part of that civic duty. Creating, removing those gaps between men and boys who need professionals' help with their mental health and getting them the resources they need, and working on that accessibility issue.
Yeah.
And we are a month away from our second event.
And what's this year's theme?
This year's theme, well, first of all, there was a rebrand because Men's Mental Health Matters 2024 is a bit of a mouthful. So we have rebranded to MPACT, M-Pact. And that is a commitment. That is a commitment to supporting the men and boys in our lives around male loneliness, about men's loneliness, boys' loneliness, because we are in the midst of a loneliness epidemic. And it's bad. So bad that the US Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy, in 2023 declared it as a national emergency. And so we recognize in our first event, it's a bit of a gap to take someone who's on the couch, video games, not working, disconnecting from society, disconnecting from relationships. It can be a bit of a leap to say, go get professional help, get a therapist, get a counselor, even join a men's group, join a peer group. That's terrifying for a lot of men, especially considering that we weren't raised that that's okay. So there's a big mental leap to be had there for many. And so this year's theme, to answer your question, is about community. Community. Yes. So if you're that disaffected youth or man who's not connecting with society, relationships with others, there are going to be car clubs, Dungeons and Dragons leagues, running groups, mountain biking groups, veterans groups. What else? Improv. We have an improv troupe coming.
Nice.
We have gyms coming. We have yoga studios coming. We asked ourselves the question, where are the communities creating community here in Chattanooga?
Nice.
And let's bring them to Miller Park, downtown Chattanooga. And it's exciting, man. I've got like 2 TV spots. I've got 4 radio spots in the next month where we're going to be promoting it. It's being emceed by our Hits radio station DJ in town. So he's going to MC the event, which gets me off MC duties, I'm so thankful for that. We're doing a mass cold plunge. We had 60 people cold plunge last year. We're going to aim for 100 this year. 100 people getting in the ice for 2 minutes. And live music, the whole shebang. And so that, I believe, gets me to 45% of my civic duty.
Nice. 45. And what is the other 55? What are some brainstorms?
Yeah. Keeping up men's groups, making them available. And what are other nonprofits? What are other organizations? What are other communities doing incredible things alike that we are, or completely different? Creek cleanups.
Yeah.
Go march in a parade. Go, support a performance by the budding improv group in town. Just getting out there and helping elevate other communities, other missions. Because I think that one of the blind spots within MKP historically is that we'll create events that are very MKP centric.
Yeah, right.
So I could easily say this is the Men Who Chat 2025 thing. No. Sure as hell, we're a primary sponsor, and we're going to have a booth and a tent set up to get out information. But no, it's not about us. It's about us as a city. We're going to have showers and haircuts for the homeless. We have mobile showers coming in because Miller Park is a big anchoring point for a lot of the homeless in town. So we're going to have those showers there, haircuts. We're going to have resources available by United Way so that many of these folks can get access to helping them find jobs, helping them find safe places to sleep and stay, and get good, healthy, nourishing meals. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
That's beautiful. I'm totally psyched. I'm totally psyched for you. That's really cool. And while we're doing promos, if you're anywhere there, right, come do it.
Yes.
And the other thing, and I feel somewhat embarrassed that Brandon and I haven't even talked about this, but there's a thing coming at the end of May, beginning of June called the Big Tent Summit. out in Loveland, Colorado. And Christopher Kyle, who is a Mankind Project dude, been around a long time, now lives in Costa Rica.
Co-leader.
And a couple of other partners got together and created a thing, Big Tent Summit. Just look it up. Which is like an industry conference for men's work folks. And right now, I think there's 55 people registered from organizations all over the country, from an incredibly broad spectrum of different kind of modalities, different research bases, different backgrounds, different outcomes, different goals, different things happening. We had our first get together last night, which is just a get to know you kind of networking connection event leading up to it. There's energy here. And I think, again, it's like, how can we increase our collective impact in many different angles of this work that we're doing, which is really essentially pro-social.
Dude,
right?
A call to men, boys to men, the brotherhood. We have Every Man, we have Men Living, we have Equimundo, All Kings.
Mankind Project is going to be very well represented there as well.
Yeah, dude. They need to get Connor Beaton out there. That'd be awesome.
So there you go. 2 promos, how men's work can go from the very, very personal, right? What happens when you come home from a transformational experience into your world, and how we can support each other to keep doing that work, all of us together, all the way to our civic duty.
See, that's it, man. I feel like we set up ourselves to fail. I set up myself to fail when I buy into the idea that for my life to have meaning, I have to impact the lives of 1 billion people. I have to, some big, audacious goal. And I'm not saying not to dream big, because there are those out there who set out to do that and they do exactly that. Right. But if you're just starting out and you feel like you have the inklings of a mission and the inklings of a purpose, just start. You don't have to be ready. We did not anticipate last year that we were going to have 200 people show up to that event, to dance, to plunge, to connect. Like, it far exceeded our expectations. We were hoping for like 80. And so this year, who knows what's going to happen? It might be 80. It might be 400. Like, time will tell. But we had 2 guys come to that who have been sitting in our men's circle ever since. Like, what ripples come from that to their partners, to their kids? Like, you never know. So why not? Why not? What are the causes that mean something to you? And are you happy with how much or how little you are putting towards those causes?
Nice. Anything else need to be said?
I love this, man. I love this. I love you. This is awesome. Just getting to turn on the mic, not have to read someone's book before an episode. Hey, I love the books. But just knowing that we can chuck on the mic and have generative conversations like this, and just grateful for this time, and grateful for all of you who show up each week to listen. I mean, I meet more every time I do a new warrior training. I meet more and more people that say, thank you for the show. I never miss an episode. All we see are numbers, X amount of downloads on our back end. We don't see Rick Black, who was MOS at the kitchen of this last training, saying, I've listened to every episode. Like, we don't see that. And so if you have been impacted by these conversations and you want to have a say in the direction that we go, like, there's a link in the show notes where you can share your feedback. It doesn't ask for your name though. So put your name at the end of your message and an email so that we can keep the conversation going. Because we want to hear from you. We want to feel you. We want you to know that you are the reason we do this. So don't be a stranger.
Thank you. That's awesome. And you know what else? I didn't even share this with you. So we got a top 70 list. We were on a top 70 list a few weeks ago. And a website called Million Podcasts, millionpodcasts.com. Men's Mental Health Podcasts, number 12 out of 60. We have another award for the Mankind Podcast on their top 60 lists of men's mental health podcasts. There we are again. So let's go.
Where are you? Okay, I'm going to need links. I'm going to need because
I'll get you a
I'm not
link.
aware of this. This is
Look for a link in the show notes.
Man, quiet achievers we are.
We're getting it.
Hey, well, we've been a top 1% podcast for 2 years now, so it's good to be up there. But now we're niching in mental health, self-growth, leadership, taking over, Boysen.
Share the show, folks. Share the show.
Share the show
with somebody far out there. Share the show on Facebook. Share the show on your own Insta.
It's not what we can do for you, but what you can do for your podcast.
That's not terrible, Brandon. That was not terrible.
Need to work on my 1960s
I love you too, brother.
Catholic
Appreciate
Bostonian.
you.
Love you too, my man. Good times. Until next time.
Peace.
This has been another episode of the Mankind Podcast, produced in association with the Mankind Project USA. We have been your hosts, Boysen Hodgson and myself, Brandon Clift, and we want to thank our guests for joining us today and imparting their wisdom from their experiences in this amazing journey called life. If you want to find out more about today's guests and support them in their mission, you can find links to them in the show notes. Now, if you have found gold and insights that you believe could benefit your loved ones and those you care about, be sure to share it with them. And of course, we are always grateful for a rating and review of the show on iTunes. Now, above all else, we've got to thank you, the listener, because through your attention and your support, you have made it possible for us to let men all over the world know that they are not alone and that there is more than one way to be a man. And if something in this episode has touched you, then perhaps it is the call to action to get involved in men's work. With live trainings happening constantly and in-person trainings happening all over the world, the Mankind Project definitely has something for you. Now, if you've enjoyed the music in this episode and all of our episodes, be sure to check out Jim Donovan and the Sun King Warriors. I have links to them in the show notes. And lastly, just know, what it means to me to be a man is completely different than what it means for you. That is the beauty of this journey. So if you are looking for guidance, support, and community as you begin to unpack and dive deeper into your men's work journey, then you know where to find us. Same place, same time, next week. Lots of love. We'll see you then.
Hey, it's Boysen here with the Mankind Podcast. We are closing in on 100 5-star reviews of this podcast, and we have a goal. Brandon and I want to get to 250 5-star reviews. So help us out, will you? Please go to the Mankind Podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave us a review. Thank you. Hey, it's Boysen. On the Mankind Podcast, we've brought some incredible guests on to talk about the importance of doing the work to improve our mental and emotional health. And here's the truth. Multiple times over the last 25 years, I've had the help of one-on-one work with some amazing therapists. For me, for my wife, for both of us as adoptive parents, and for our kids. The Mankind Project and Men's Group, though awesome, are not a substitute for professional mental health support. And so I'm thrilled that the Mankind Podcast now has BetterHelp as a sponsor for the show. BetterHelp works online. It asks you what you're working on and then matches you for live one-on-one sessions with a licensed therapist, someone trained to work with you, listen, and offer helpful insights. I'm using BetterHelp. It's super easy, and I like what I'm getting. If getting one-on-one support in the comfort of your own space feels like a good direction for you, I invite you to check it out. Go to the link in the show notes or betterhelp.com/mankind. And if you sign up, you'll get 10% off your first month of therapy.